Look, the Chicago Bears, they just got some great news at wide receiver. And this is just a really nice, underrated move by GM Ryan Poles. And I think the Bears have found yet another steal. And this player that I'm talking about is former Green Bay Packer, Samori Toure. He's just a nice wide receiver, a nice athletic profile, just another sneaky good signing. And look, injuries happen, right? Things go off the rail during a season. GM Ryan Poles, he just never stops working. And he's just not going to rest with a wide receiver room that's only top heavy. Before all's said and done, I think this might be a really important move. And kind of looking back on where he came from as far as Green Bay, he came to Green Bay in a draft of theirs that saw 3 wideouts join their team. And Toure, he made the 53. Despite his low draft stock as their 5th receiver, he was picked in the 7th round. And then in 2 seasons in Green Bay, playing 22 games, 13 catches, 252 snaps total. Not any special team involvement, though. That's the only part that I don't like. But the guy's measurables are pretty nice. Good versatility. The guy can play both inside and outside. He can run all the routes in the tree. And I'm going to go here to Windy City Gridiron. Former pro scout Greg Gabriel, he agrees that he believes that Toure is actually a steal. And this is what he had to say here. Coming out of college, he measured at 6'1", 191 pounds, ran a 4.48. 32.5-inch arms, 9.5-inch hands. Those are nice measurables. And for Green Bay, like I said, he played both inside and outside, showed really nice route running ability, and he gets out of a cut quickly. He can consistently get separation. Gabriel continues with his hands are good. And from the games viewed, he shows an adequate catch radius. While he's not a strong runner after the catch, he's shifty. He can make an opponent miss. His blocking needs to improve a bit. And this is something that the Bears can work on while he's on the practice squad. Gabriel feels that he's a good fit for this offensive scheme, and it wouldn't surprise him if we see him brought up to the 53 during the season. And we're kind of looking at, he's got to, I'm going to close this down. We got to think about that. He's got to learn the Bears playbook, but it's not that much different than Green Bay. Lots of similarities. Both offenses are offshoots of the Shanahan-McVay scheme that they both run. So let's talk about him a little more. 3rd-year guy. I know a former Packer, but he was drafted late a couple of years ago in the 7th round, and he's seen some time on the field since. So let's go into who he was in college. And I'm just going to kind of highlight his last year in 2021 at Nebraska. So he was a member of the Biletnikoff Award watch list. He played in all 12 games with 9 starts, and this was his final season at Nebraska in 2021. He led the team. 46 receptions, still just short of 900 receiving yards with 898, 5 receiving touchdowns. And let's get into this a little more. He tied the Nebraska season record with 5 100-yard receiving games. That's the 2nd highest yards per catch in Nebraska history, 19.5 yards. And that's among, of course, players with at least 40 catches. So that's a legit stat. Tied for 6th place in Nebraska's single season receiving yardage list. But here's a little more here. He was 3rd-time All Big Ten from Pro Football Focus, honorable mention accolades from the conference media. But I think this is what really gets me excited about him as a player and his potential, because at the end of the regular season, he ranked number 2 nationally on 70-yard catches with 2, 3rd nationally in 60-yard catches. That's with 4. While he also ranked 5th in 50-yard catches. And this is with Nebraska with 5. So this guy, he's just got some really nice big play chops about him. And it's nice to have him on our practice squad. He also led the Big Ten and ranked 17th nationally in yards per reception, 6th in the Big Ten in receiving yards. And what I just love about this, GM Ryan Poles, the guy's always working. We look at the wide receiver room as fans and we think, wow, what a position of strength. But guess what? Ryan Poles, he lives a lot in the what ifs. He's still working on this positional room. He really just hit a home run with this depth signing, in my opinion. And this is a guy that can come on and contribute immediately when needed. And this is about now building the bottom of the roster properly and doing it thoughtfully, not just patting himself on the back for the blue chippers that we have. And yes, we have an incredible wide receiver stable, but let's prepare here. And Toure, he's talented enough to be in the starting lineup on a lot of teams. Guess what? Once again, he's stashed on the practice squad. Just a really nice athletic profile, and he's shown steady improvement from season to season, and this is just nice. And he had a little bit of pop last season. Toure had 78 yards on 18 targets, 5 catches on 9 targets for 82 yards the previous year. So now what's happens here? Let's kind of do some projection, and this is exciting as well. Let's temper it, but let's just check this out. So looking at his fit in the Waldron offense, I mean, we've got our top 3 receivers. We've got Scott coming on, but if there's an injury and he ends up being the number 4, what does that possibly look like in the Shane Waldron offense? Let's say those targets, like those 9 targets, those 18 targets, let's say they're projected to 45 to 50 targets. And by the way, that's the target share as a number 4 receiver in the Waldron offense. If we want to project as well what happened in Seattle, and that's really all we can do right now is project, right? So let's do it. With Toure's performance and catch percentage, that's a 410-yard player. I know it's conjecture, but what happens if one of our top 3 get hurt? Enter Samori Toure. So to recap, he caught 13 passes for 160 yards and a touchdown over 22 regular season games, 251 offensive snaps with the Packers. Played in 11 games each of the last 2 seasons. That's great. And in 2023, he caught 8 of 18 targets for 78 yards. And he scored a 2-point conversion versus the Saints. If you look at the Packers roster, there simply wasn't room for him. This is on a Green Bay team that has had a total youth rebuild at wideout. He needs a bit more development, and the Bears, they are willing and able to provide that. And the Packers released Toure. He was a 2022 7th-round draft pick, and that was during final cuts on Tuesday. And by training camp's end, the Packers kept Bo Melton, Malik Heath, and this was beyond the top 4 of Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, Jaden Reed, and Dontavian Wicks. So in Chicago, he will join an offense led by rookie quarterback Caleb Williams, new offensive coordinator Shane Waldron, and the Bears, they are just deep already at wide receiver with DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, first-round pick Rome Odunze leading the way. Scott has really come on in his second season. He was arguably the best wide receiver in camp. He just really showed out, and he is giving a lot of encouragement about the type of player that he is going to be, just simply watching him in practice all of this offseason. And we're just looking really good at receiver. This offense looks like a finished product, and I will say, we have really bolstered this offensive line. GM Ryan Poles, he just recently said that this is the best offensive line room and the most depth that we have had as Chicago Bears fans since he has been with the team. And I really agree with him. Granted, it's not perfect, but you can see some nice depth. Our frontline talent on the offensive line, it looks pretty nice. And if you think about that from a rebuild 2 years ago, I will take exactly where we're at with this offensive line. The defensive line is now deep and strong. And this secondary, linebackers, what do you got to say? We are one of the cream of the crop of the league. I think this is a top 5 defense, and at worst, it's a top 10 defense. But if you look at this defense, this defensive line gelling with the talent that it looks like have been added with also the guys that are starting. If this defensive line comes together and these depth signings really fill it out, man, pair that with our secondary and our linebackers, you are going to be a problem as a Chicago Bears team for other teams in the league. And it's just really exciting to see. You guys let me know what you think. We are almost to real football, and I'll be covering some pregame coming up to that as the week progresses. But you guys enjoy your holiday today. Bear down, and we'll talk soon. See ya.